I love it, Mark. I think and we're going to hold you for another 5 minutes, and then we'll call it a. And the reason being, so guys, what's going on tonight with Mark? I mean, first of all, I've never heard you speak, Mark. I've heard about you, but never heard you speak. And I can see you put a lot of time and effort, and literally the reason we're only going to do another 5 minutes is because you're going right back to making sure everybody gets a lot of value tonight and a lot of value on Saturday. But your fundamental beliefs and what you're telling me right now, and I'm around a lot of investors in different capacities, managed partners in a management company, 2,000 units, and do a lot of lending and so forth. So I see a lot of different people. I have never met one investor that has had this approach. I've heard people talk about it. There's a couple of guys out there that I respect that they're heading down this road. But you literally have broken down your life into a science, and you said, and it's the best because technically speaking, happiness is a chemical reaction that you could measure. And you've almost done maybe you have fully measured it, right? So you've actually measured the chemical reaction to create happiness, which none of this matters. You can have $5, you can have no money and be happy. So you've basically broken down exactly what it takes to make the minimum effective dose to make you happy. And it just so happens to be a good chunk of change. And you're going to be going over that in a boot camp on Saturday tonight at the presentation. That's amazing. I'm significantly, I'm very interested to hear this. I'm telling you, Mark, thousands of investors. I had to have met thousands of investors over the years of the transactions I've done. Never has somebody come in this true capacity, which is what we all want. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier than people think, but you have to think strategically. And it sounds ridiculous, but it is. It's the way it is. So either I'm lying or I'm for real, but I have all the data. I've got you can look up in tax records, and a lot of people here in the Delaware Valley that know me, Dave Van Horn, and just a lot of people that are in our sphere of influence. Actually, Dan Zatowski was at my presentation the other night, South Jersey REIA. Yeah, and it's a very, very simple. Now, he makes a lot more money than I do, which is great. I'm happy for him. But that's what makes him happy. What makes me happy? Would you be totally just intellectually stimulated by organic chemistry? Probably not. Most people aren't. So the things that I love are not even necessarily the things that you love. So everybody's got to define for themselves what they love and then pursue that, but strategically. And once you figure out what your path is, then the execution takes a decade or 2 decades less. And I started. I was a passive real estate investor part-time since 1987, so that's 30 years. But I got seriously into becoming a part-time investor in 2004. I was 50 years old, and again, and I didn't drive myself crazy. You'll see it tonight. I hope a lot of the people that are on here tonight will be able to see. Will be able to come and see this stuff. It's unbelievably simple. You don't need a PhD in organic chemistry to understand it. What you need is an open mind, and you need to think strategically.
You need to think differently than most people think, because otherwise you end up in the churn and burn for 20 extra years. And I don't know about you, but I'd love to go to an event and shave 20 years off my learning curve. That sounds good. That sounds really good. So what do you want to leave everybody with? Anything you want to say to everybody, Mark, before we wrap this up and you get back to your work?
Yeah, and the work is pretty much, I haven't finished putting the slides together yet, believe it or not. So I have a bunch of, you can see the part-time investors logo that I've got here. And maybe there's one other thing that I'm not sure exactly who's online here, but I'm going to show also some data that part-time investing is a lot more common than people think. 69% of the flips that were done in the first quarter of 2017, there were 44,000 flips done in the United States in the first quarter. 69% of those were done by people who did only one flip in that quarter. And there's 17 million single-family home rentals in the United States. 89% of those are owned by landlords who have 10 or less properties. So, this great thing, you have to be, and all the gurus say, you got to be a full-time investor. Go ahead. You want to live that life? That's fine. But typically, because I've given lectures at a number of REIAs, I wrote a book on real estate. I've written 5 books, 4 on chemical technology, 1 on real estate investing. And as I go around the country and I see these different places, 5 to 10% of REIA membership are full-time investors. Most REIA members are either part-time investors or want to be part-time investors. And half the full-time investors I know have such a harried life that they're looking forward to going back into part-time investing so they can just take some time off and breathe. So the message I want to leave people with: seriously consider part-time investing. not as a compromise, but actually as a strategic decision to achieve happiness and financial freedom simultaneously. That's my message, I think.
I love it, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on this short notice, and we look forward to seeing you tonight. And everybody that's watching this, show up. It's a good spot. It's a good venue, and Mark is extremely intriguing. So you're gonna learn something tonight.
Ian, thank you very much for inviting me.
You got it, man.